Mark Antony in Shakespeare's Cleopatra may have referred to the tears that live in the onion. But why do onions actually make us cry, and why do only some onions make us blub in this way when others, including related allium plants such as garlic, barely ever draw a tear? When chopped, when any vegetable is damaged, its cells are ripped open. The plant often then tries to defend itself by releasing bitter distinct chemicals called polyphenols that can be off-putting to hungry animals trying to eat it. But an onion's defense mechanism goes further, producing an even more irritating chemical, propantheous oxide, meant to stop the plant being consumed by pests. This volatile chemical is what's known as a lacrimatory factor. Its volatility means that, once it's released, it quickly evaporates and finds its way into our eyes. There it dissolves in the water covering the surface of our eyes to form sulfenic acid. This irritates the lacrimal gland, also known as the tear gland, hence the rather grand name of lacrimatory factor. Because the amount of acid produced is so small, its effect is only irritating and not harmful. The release of propantheous oxide was originally thought to be down to one enzyme in the onion known as alicinus, a biological catalyst that speeds up the production of the eye-irritating compound. But some research has suggested two enzymes could be needed to produce these eye-watering effects. This more complex explanation starts with the sulfur the onion absorbs from the ground and holds in a compound called pranxo-1,1-propanylcysteine sulfoxide. When the onion is damaged, it releases the alicinus, which reacts with the pranxo to produce ammonia and another chemical called 1-propenyl sulfenic acid. The second enzyme, known as a lacrimatory factor synthase, then turns this into the troublesome propantheous oxide. Some onions are bigger than others. Shutterstocks. So why do some onions have more of an eye-stinging effect than others? There is lots of debate about this. One plausible explanation is that it's related to the amount of sulfur the onion has absorbed from the ground, which can depend on the soil and the growing conditions. Higher levels of sulfur in the soil help boost both the yield and pungency of onions. Certainly sweeter onions tend to have less of the sulfur-containing compounds that eventually produce the propantheous oxide. But it's also possible that no two onions from the same bag will have the same effect, so cutting into the vegetable may be the only way to know if it will make you cry. However, we have a better idea why onions causing garlic doesn't have the same effect. It contains a slightly different compound called alliin or pranxo-2, which doesn't break down further into eye-stinging chemicals. Instead, it produces allicin, which has been linked to many of garlic's health benefits. Stop the tears. One solution to the crying problem may be to re-engineer the humble onion by selective breeding or genetic modification to suppress the lacrimatory factor synthase enzyme. This might also have the added benefit of improving how onions taste, as less propantheous oxide would mean more thiosulfonate, the compound associated with the flavor of fresh onions. There are also a number of low-ordic solutions that have been suggested to solve the onion chopping problem. As the reaction involves enzymes, the rate of reaction and amount of irritating chemicals produced can be cut by either damaging the enzymes or slowing them down. That damn propantheous oxide. Shutterstock. In theory, blanching the onions, scalding them with boiling water, then plunging them into freezing cold water will denature the enzymes involved, and so prevent the reaction from happening. This method is used when freezing many vegetables, but it may not be practical to boil your onions before chopping them. Slowing the reaction can be achieved by putting your onions in the fridge or freezer before chopping. But it's best not to store onions in a fridge in the long term, as they become soggy and soft and lose their flavor, as well as making an unpleasant smell. It is best to keep your onions in a cool, dark place with airflow that is not as humid as the fridge. Other approaches involve drawing the volatile chemicals away from you as you are chopping the onion. This could be done by using a cooker hood or running water, stopping the compounds making their way to your eyes. You can even buy goggles to stop the irritant reaching your eyes. But the ability of evaporated propantheous oxide to reach our eyes regardless means that even then you should be prepared to weep as you slice